Live at Onigashima, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Jimmy, and today we have chapter 1159, The Island of Destiny. And oh boy, there's a lot of destiny on God Valley.
Lot
This
of lore.
chapter had a lot of lore drops, a lot of connecting pieces, answered a lot of questions. So the cover story
Made a lot of questions too.
Cover story not as interesting as last week. They're just traveling again. We can skip it. And then
we're
can
back
go
to skipping the
straight into
cover
chapter.
story.
Hell yeah. But don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Tell us your theories in the comments. But let's get started. So, I mean, we picked up right where we thought we would, right? So, we assumed that Shaki is, the crown jewel of Hachinosu. And lo and behold, she gets kidnapped. It did look like an inside job, though, which, like, I guess makes sense because they told us before there's a lot of infighting in the Rocks Pirates. And it's pretty obvious it's like Ochaku that did it, right? Like, I don't think anyone's like questioning that.
And it makes sense, like, how, because we know that, like, he ran Pirate Island after Rocks and before Blackbeard took over, like, during the Rocky Port incident. So this kind of, like, tracks, right?
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say about him is that a lot of people are theorizing, because he kind of looks like them, that this is, like, Caribou's dad and the brother, too, right? And so it's an interesting little tidbit that, like, okay, Blackbeard came back after Rocks fucked them over and, like, took this guy out, right? You know, Rocks' son ended up coming back and taking revenge, and now Caribou's going back to Pirate Island to potentially, like, fuck over Blackbeard. So it's like this weird back and forth. I don't know if Caribou's being as genuine as maybe somebody. I don't know if I ever thought
I would never think
genuine about anything.
But he's a sly motherfucker. And honestly, I was thinking that too. It's just a cycle of hatred. One guy backstabs another, then he backstabs his son, then he backstabs his son. Like, it's just gonna keep going.
Yeah, I mean, there might be like a twist with it with Blackbeard. Like, maybe Blackbeard knows who he is the whole time or something. And, like, if we're going with this whole theory of, like, Blackbeard is Rocks, which we'll get to more later in this chapter, because I feel like that theory just keeps on building on itself. You know, it might be a little spicier than we made it out to be, but that was just like a small part of the chapter, you know.
It's there just to lead into the big part of the chapter.
Yeah,
we get to God Valley, and oh my God, even the beginning, it delivers. We see. I mean, first of all, Garling's an asshole. We knew that, but just murdering his like. I was gonna say wife, but clearly not wife. His lover, just in cold blood, and just being like,
the mother of his children, just bam,
So
insanely heartless.
You could see he's like even like kind of like condescending and a dick about it, because you can tell she actually like loved him and was like waiting for him, which means he kind of like got to know her and like treated her well at first, just for him to turn around and be extremely heartless, like, nah, I really don't care. And I think this chapter helps emphasize like how much you hate the celestial dragons, and however much you hate them, it's never enough. They somehow just keep getting worse and worse every single time.
Yeah, I mean, in God Valley, we knew, you know, I mean, it's already like a really dark scenario. Like, I'm sure we're gonna see even more shitty shit from the Celestial Dragons, and moving further and further into the end game of the story, like, we're gonna continue to see these guys like just be horrible, you know.
I mean, yeah, we see them just like playing around with it later in the chapter. We see a bunch of the young God's Knights. We see young Summers, young Gunko. So only, of course, they showed the ones that we already knew about, which I was a little disappointed. I kind of want to see a few more of them, but I guess Oda's saving those reveals for a little bit later. But
there's just one guy that's at the bottom here that's like talking to Gunko that I think we had seen him before in like a God Valley flashback last time we got it, like in Kuma's flashback. So he seems like we don't really know who he is, but he's a recurring character here in this flashback at least. I think there was a thing a while back that we had said about him being one of the children that Mother Carmel was raising. So, you know, just to tie it all back to that, like it might be a character of note later. But yeah, it's really just Garling and Summers, and
I mean,
going back though.
I was gonna say, like, another thing about God Valley, I don't know if you noticed in the background, like, even though we saw like this scene kind of from a different angle before, there's actually more chests in the background now than what we thought before. Before there was only 6 chests, and now it looks like there's 9 different ones with a total of 10 prizes. So that means there's actually way more stuff up for grabs than we originally thought. And we thought we only knew a little bit before, right? Because we knew about Kaido and Kuma's fruits. But I wonder
Right.
what else could be in there. Like,
Yeah.
clearly not Whitebeard's fruit. We theorized that like months and months ago, but then we saw earlier in this flashback he already used it. Maybe, I don't know if we've seen Shiki use his fruit at all yet here, so maybe that's one of them, because that would be a pretty powerful one. So
It'd be pretty crazy. Yeah, we know that already. Like, I would assume, I think Big Mom already has her fruit by this point, and so does Whitebeard.
yeah, well, she
So
got it by eating Mother Carmel.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And
So
then, but she did say like, "Oh, I can use these fruits for my kids." So I wonder if any of the fruits that Big Mom has, maybe like one of them came from here.
like
But
Katakuri's fruit or something.
yeah, I don't know if Katakuri's would necessarily be one the like Celestial Dragons want. I don't know which of hers would be like. Probably not Smoothies. Maybe Parasparrows because his is kind of versatile.
That one's
But
cool. Or
I
the
don't know.
Mont, what's his name? Mont, whatever, the book one, the
The
book
book
guy.
one's pretty good too. Yeah,
That one's pretty
Mondor.
strong, and yeah, that one I feel like is strong enough, and like we see it used to like trap people, so I could see the Celestial Dragons kind of doing that.
Yeah.
Um,
I could even see
but
Puddings having the power to like just change
that
people's
one would be
memories
crazy,
because that you
actually.
could
Yeah,
use to like change history by a lot, and
yeah,
it could
that's
be
one of the
something
stronger
where
ones.
maybe it was so valuable that Big Mom didn't want to give it to anyone until Pudding came because she knew Pudding could read or would eventually be able to read the poneglyphs also. So she was
Right,
like
right.
more valuable than some of the other kids.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, who knew we were talking about Big Mom this much? We didn't even have her in the chapter, really. But you know, we see everybody mobilized, go to God Valley, and we see a little, the first little piece of God Valley. We see Dragon, right, as a young Marine upstart, which is pretty interesting. We get to
I
see young
think
Dragon.
I think this is actually my favorite part of the chapter, seeing Dragon, because oh my god, Dragon's not a bum anymore, guys. He's
He
beating the
finally did something.
allegations. This is
Yeah,
the
dude, he
most
did.
we've ever seen Dragon do. And I know there's other stuff that some people might consider more hype, but like just seeing Dragon immediate being like he's just like so low. He's like he reminds me of Kobe, honestly, when Kobe joined. Just like kind of like this weak Marine who like
Yeah.
feels like he has a good heart, and then all the Marines around him are like, nah, just listen to your orders. Shut up, kid. And then he's
Yeah,
like,
honestly,
bruh.
that makes me like, it makes me like Dragon more, and it makes me like more hype for what he will be able to do later, because like as we know with Kobe, like obviously he like had a big glow up, and you know, after like learning his ideals or his morals or whatever, like he really came into his own and got really strong. So I don't know if Dragon, one thing that's interesting that I don't really know where it's gonna go is like, I don't know if Dragon had like a mentor figure that like trained him. Like I don't know if Garp was the one to do that. You know, like Garp is not here. He didn't even. He was like, you know,
I mean, Garp's literally only
lazing
coming
around.
here because Raj is gonna be here.
Yeah,
That's all he cares about. So
yeah, and like I just I don't know where the strength of Dragon comes from yet. So well, I guess we'll see that a little further along. But I just to skip around a little bit, we see Dragon at the end of the chapter pick up Teach, which is crazy.
that
So we
to
now
me
know
is one of
that
the
like,
very surprising things because like not
yeah,
Dragon's actions because you would expect him to be saving like a child and a mom like this, right? But
yeah,
it's just like the cycle of okay, Dragon, his son later, Luffy is now going to fight the kid that Dragon ended up saving a while back. And if you think
yeah,
about it, Dragon saving this kid technically got Ace killed also. But like
yeah,
that doesn't necessarily mean it was the wrong thing to do. Because how are you gonna leave like a 1-year-old kid like this, like to die?
yeah,
And it kind of just sucks because I mean, the mom has to die here because we find out later that Blackbeard is an orphan. Like when we were going through,
right,
what was it, Odin's backstory, and when
yeah.
Whitebeard picks up Teach. So I wonder where Dragon's gonna leave Teach after this because it's basically gonna be like 7 years of Teach's life just not accounted for of like who the hell is taking care of this kid and like what the
Yeah,
hell
like where does he
happened to
go
them.
afterwards? You know what I mean? Like it's weird. I feel like there's a whole, we don't know what obviously we're gonna get into God Valley and like what happens in the coming chapters. Like we're gonna get it, right? I think I don't think we're just gonna like cut out of this flashback and then
No,
be
that
like,
would be
oh,
such a cock block if Oda did that. There's no way.
yeah. But there is a panel. I don't know. I gotta find it again. But it looks like a little kid Moria is here too. And so you know it's interesting to see, and if that is Moria, all those theories about like how God Valley like still exists because it was wiped off the face of the map, but we don't know if it was like eviscerated or whatever, or if it was like picked up and put somewhere else. You know, there's that whole theory about like Thriller Bark being God Valley because we see all of the Rocks pirates like being resurrected there. So
Yeah.
I wonder if like, you know, somehow Moria is involved in that. But we also know that like now that Moria is a Kozuki, so it's like weird that he would be here at this time.
I mean, maybe that's
Um,
why he would have gotten like captured on this island also. Because I mean,
mhm.
we clearly know the reason that they targeted this island now. Because we found out last chapter, right? Garling was like, "Oh, there's something good there," and it's clearly to something we haven't talked about yet. But the Davy clan, right? Blackbeard being
Yes.
part of the Davy clan, which cool reveal, and I figured was going to come into play at some point. But I don't really know exactly what it's going to mean in the immediate sense. It definitely shows that there was another, like Davy Jones was a huge player in the Void Century, and I wonder if we're going to end up finding more descendants of him. But clearly, like, there's this theme of having to hide your name from the government. It's why
Yeah.
Rox had to do it for so long. Even Blackbeard now still doesn't go by the Davy clan or even the Rox name, right? He switched it completely to Marshall, which I wonder if that has any relevance or it's just a different name. Like we know
Maybe
Ace
his
hid
mom's
his name. He wasn't
Yeah.
like Roger Pirate, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
we just have a lot of people hiding their names, and it shows me like, just to go back to Dragon, how much less of a bum I think he is,
Yeah.
because clearly he had to hide Luffy from the world, otherwise
Yeah.
they were going to kill him. Especially if after this incident, Dragon like he goes so far out of his way to try to destroy the Marines because of this. I'm sure he's out there trying to reveal information about this. I mean, this event even shows why Dragon knows about like the Gods Knights, right?
Right.
Because we heard him talk about it when Sabo was like telling him about Emu. So Dragon obviously has a lot of information, and I'm glad we're getting a lot more of a spotlight on him.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting to also like, like you said, it fleshes out Dragon's character and it gives more of a reason for him to have left Luffy there. So beating the bum allegations a little bit there. I think, yeah, the Davy stuff was definitely like one of the most interesting things about this chapter. I think that like it was kind of I don't know if we were expecting it or not. Like I knew we had heard Rock say the Davy things before. It's been dropped a couple times in the story, like on Long Ring Longland, which by the way, no skippable arcs in One Piece. um, and it's cool to see this little like back and forth between him and Harold. It's kind of like how Whitebeard and Roger like had to sit down, except this is like an inverse where they like hate each other like for real now, or they don't hate each other, but like they're actually like going at each other. And I wonder how this is going to like play out because we hear Rox say like, oh, like it's gonna be all good as long as I get my kid out and everything, but we know already that like Rox loses here. So
And what I think is going to happen, I think this is going to be the incident that gets like the world government to turn on Harold. I think
Yeah.
he's going to go there at first pretending to like help out, but then when he sees like maybe Rock's trying to save his kid, I think Harold's going to end up helping Blackbeard also escape. And them, the world government kind of seeing that is what's going to make him turn later on. Like, I don't know if maybe they're going to find out immediately, but maybe like through some intel they find out later. Because obviously
Mhm.
Harold has to get off this island, right? Like we see him die
Yeah.
in his castle like later. So in
Yeah.
order for that to happen, he has to get off this island, which means he's probably going to get Blackbeard off the island in secret, and then be able to, you know, go back, do some things for a while, and they're going to trick him. And maybe that's their way of being like more malicious about it too, right? Give them hope that they got away, kind of like draw them in, and then like backstab him at the like last minute.
Yeah, it's I think it's interesting here at the very end of their little interaction. Like, you see Harold's ship like on fire, right? And if like let's play this out and like let's say that ship is just like cooked after this. Like how does he get off the island? There's a lot of like I don't really understand what the dispersing of this is. Obviously something happens to God Valley itself to wipe it off the map, but then like what like does Rox help him get off the island like with his ship or something? Does the Rox ship get sunk? You know, we don't know. Like we don't know where the Rox ship is right now. Like we assumedly it just gets burned and like destroyed here or whatever. The ships we know that get off the island are obviously like I'm sure a bunch of the Marines and then like Roger. he gets
Yeah.
off. But we don't see Harold with Roger. I mean, it could be the case, but we don't see Harold with Roger at all. Like when we see the reveal of like Shanks being in Roger's ship, you know, when he like they're like, oh my god, we have this baby now. um, but they might have not wanted to reveal Harold. So I don't know how it's all gonna shake out. But we do know that Harold like gets out of this alive. We know that Rox doesn't. So I think it's gonna be a big turning point for Harold's character, and I'm interested to see like how it kind of follows through into the end game. Like you said, like I think, yeah, this could be the catalyst of like, okay, um, Harold is now enemy of the government because he like helped Rox or whatever, and then that's what made Emu Dami Reversi back at Elbaf or something, and then all that shakes out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen in God Valley. Even though we know bits and pieces, finally seeing something like this big, like this has been one of the most anticipated battles for like years, literally ever since we found out about God Valley, which was like halfway
Right.
through Wano. So it's been like I think at least 5 years in the making or something at this point. So
Hmm.
I can't wait. Like this chapter overall, fantastic.
It's gonna be.
I,
It was great. We didn't even mention our boy Morgan's made a little pop up
oh
here.
yeah, the goat. How
our
can we forget
homie,
about the goat?
our homie Morgan's dude. Yeah, good little reveal in this chapter. I always love seeing big news on the screen.
I like how he also said in this chapter, he's like, "You better pay me, or I'm gonna leak it." And then he's like, "Ah, fuck it, I'm gonna leak it anyways. Who cares?"
Yeah, he just leaked it anyways, and then Jenny was like, "Yo, this girl is on God Valley," and everybody's like, "What?" And then they all came.
And then
So,
speaking of that, also, this is how you can clearly see how the Revolutionary Army started, because even though we know Kuma got off the island by using the devil fruit he got, obviously Ginny, Dragon, and Ivankov all escaped together
yeah,
from here, and that's what forms the Revolutionary Army. So I thought that was another
right.
cool little Easter egg that we'll obviously
Yeah,
see
true.
more
They're
of.
they're like all here. Yeah, everybody is here. This is Smash tournament for real.
Everyone's here.
All
But yeah,
right,
like we
y'all.
said, don't
Well,
forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell us your theories again in the comments. I'm sure
yeah,
you
tell us
guys
your
probably have
theories.
way better ones than we do about like Davy Jones, and all of that stuff. So
Yeah, and don't forget like we're about to see Vince Smoke Romeo in this next chapter, I
oh,
think. So,
Vince Smoke Romeo hype is
everybody
through the roof right now.
through the roof. It's crazy, dude. Yeah, tell us your Vince Smoke Romeo theories in the
Yeah,
comments, and we'll see you on the next one.
peace.